Yesterday I was just chilling in a call when one of my homies asked, "Yo bro, do you think it's possible to beat the first area of Silksong without touching the grass?" I stopped and said, "Nah bruh, it's filled with that shit." But then I started second guessing it and wondered if it would be actually possible. So I set out to acquire the first silk card, which I consider the end of the tutorial, without touching any grass. But first, let's discuss the rules. This is grass, that's moss, that is grass, that's a boss. And why is this here? And as we're still in the very early stages of Silksong modding, and I'm not a coder, so you know. Anyways, as just stated, due to the modding state of the game, I won't have any access to hitboxes in the game. So we have to find a way to know if I touch grass, and I think I came up with the most simple conclusion. Every time Hornet walks close enough to grass, it will move, and when that happens, I will count it as being touched. Also, I'm not allowed to break any of it, because I'm obviously touching it, but with all that out of the way, I'm gonna take the fear every Hollow Knight player has into the game and try to defeat it, and its name is grass. Starting off the run, after waking up, we are immediately faced with two strands of grass. And if you're wondering how I won't touch any grass that's in front of Hornet, the game is actually designed to be 3D, so some grass will be like overlap with Hornet, but we're not actually touching it because it's in the foreground. And yeah, I just wanted to give that explanation before moving on. So anyways, these strands are easily jumped over. The next two strands behave the same way. Without any other problem, breaking the door to get to the next room, we notice two strands of grass a little further apart from each other. So we have to jump between them. Also, don't worry, these jumps will get a lot more precise going on, so just remember that. Going through the majority of this room, most of the grass is easily avoided without a problem, until we enter the next room. These two grass strands looked impossible to jump over, but I kept trying and eventually got it to work by walking really close to the first one without it moving, and then jumped high to the right and cleared it. But right after that tight jump, I was devastated, because Hornet will suddenly get a weakness attack and you have to walk to the right of the room where Grassstand is waiting for us. But in this weakened state, she isn't able to jump high enough to jump over any grass. So I thought it was over. We had to touch more grass immediately. Well, actually, the game is really generous for this challenge, and she falls down exactly in front of the dangerous grass without touching it. I think they knew a bum like me would come along and try some dumb shit like this. So jump over the strand and continue on like nothing happened. In this room, the door transition is really tight and we have to go through this exit load because there's no other way to progress. And then there's our biggest enemy, a short hallway and two grass right behind each other, with one being almost as tall as the hallway itself. And I tried and tried and tried for multiple attempts, but I couldn't make it happen. So, is the challenge over? Do we just end the video here? But then I just decided to count how many grass strands we have to touch to get to the first silk cut instead of just ending the video. So I'm going to keep track of the grass touch counter in the bottom left. 1 touch is added. Moving on from there, we enter the next room to the right, where we immediately find another grubbled grass patch. Why do they love them so much? But anyway, looking at it, the first time I thought this was impossible again, and I'd have to definitely raise the grass touch to 2. But no, it's not even that hard. It only took me a couple attempts. You just have to be careful and not be hectic. Then this little precision jump is quite easy. Moving on, I just jump these little strands with no effort at all and climb up this mini platforming section. Up on the platforming section, there are no grass strands that are difficult to skip. If you're not greedy for a berry like I'm a dumbass, but technically you don't have to touch it, so I'm gonna keep the counter at 1. And then two strands at the exit load want to screw us again. I tried air stalling with the heel, but I'd still touch at least one of them. As I tested a little further and found that you always touch the one farther behind. So our counter goes up to 2 grass touch, and guess what? Right on the exit load is another strand that you have to touch. It's impossible to jump it, so our counter goes up to 3. And if you thought it couldn't get any worse, you'd be wrong, because this is the next room. We're going to, just look at this abomination. But by some godforsaken miracle, I managed to jump these 2 strands with some precise jumps that are just barely possible. But behind it was the real challenger, with 3 strands right behind each other, making me want to crash out, but despite that, it's barely possible to jump over the first one without touching it. Now 2 remain. And again, by some miracle, after some attempts, it's just possible to jump that strand as well. And the third one is easily cleared. Now, on the last stretch to the moss marrow fight, every grass strand is easily jumpable without any issues. So we get to the more chill part, the moss marrow fight, where luckily no grass strands were at. After clearing her, I went up to the granny. I don't know her name, to be honest, I always forget. And then disaster struck. Hornet got another weakness attack, and do you see what's right in front of her? Yeah, we're boned. I tried for a while if I could maybe reset this by jumping back down and up through the transition, as I thought maybe this gets her out of her weakened state. But no, we have to work through this grass to progress. So we raise the counter up to 3 grass touched and move on. Now I thought the little walking out on the moss field straight away was gonna be a problem, but no, most of the grass is in front of Hornet and we can just jump the rest without issue. And after benching at bottom, we move on to the marrow. And here I thought, yeah, there's no grass here, everything is dead, right? Wrong. There's these dead grass strands, but they still count as grass, so we're cooked. Progressing through this air platforming section, it was still quite easy. A high jump there, another one over here, and I thought maybe I can just skip the entire marrow by performing the speedrun skip. So I went and tried it out. Luckily we can actually perform the skip without touching grass. And after missing the skip once and then getting it, I thought, yeah, we're home free now. But then I'm going to repeat myself. Disaster struck. To progress, you need to get up the platform to chakra, but the way up there is through this tiny hallway where the grass is all the way up to the ceiling. So there was no way I could go through there. After I just tried going to the right and the same problem occurred, I tried jump poking the spikes on the ground, but no, I had to go the default route. So I made my way back down, getting into the enemy arena without touching the grass. Little disclaimer, during this arena I broke some grass on the right side of the arena as my brain was deep fried or something, I don't even know. But you don't actually have to break it or touch it to beat the arena, so I won't count it. So, after taking care of the arena, I moved on and of course opened the door for my goodest boy. Or girl, I'm not too sure, please comment down below, I don't even know Sherma's age, I just love the character, okay, let's go. Anyways, entering the marrow, most of the grass was again a jump here and a jump there, making it pretty trivial, until I got up here to the flying enemies. But even so, it was still solved the same way, just jump high bro. But then again, a short hallway spanned with dead grass and I tried and actually cleared it. Thinking I was home free now, I got hit in the face by the same thing, just that the ceiling was so short that I had to touch it, but I didn't give up there. By luring both flying enemies to the sledge, I was able to pogo off them and progress without touching any more grass in that hallway that is so short that the grass is to the ceiling again. After that there were some jumps again, but I was more worried about me being on 1 HP than actually touching the grass. Getting up the room and heading left, I was at the point where Chakra was, so I just made my way over there knowing I survived the worst. But then I hit this lever, meaning the platform I was about to use to skip all grass was now gone. And if you don't believe me, I actually tested this on another save file. It is actually possible to just jump from this little platform to Chakra without actually touching the grass in the hallway. So we don't count the grass, that's me showing in the clip, because I fucked up the platform section and I did the testing later, so you know type shit happens, so we don't count that. So, after talking to Chakra, we move on to get the Silk Spear. Here I thought I would get into trouble as this area is also similar theme as the Moss Grotto. At the start you don't have to touch any grass here. I just got hit by an enemy into the grass, but that can be avoided, so we just move on from this room as weirdly there's no other grass in our way here. I thought in the room where the Silk Spear was at, it would be full of grass, but no, not a single strand in sight. Till the very end, so I pick up the Silk Spear and now we just have to fight the Bellbeast and we're done. Going down, there's one strand we just jump over and I take the bench for reason. Skill issue. On the way to the Bellbeast, I jump into a grass strand, but that can be avoided easily, so now there's just a Bellbeast left. I definitely didn't die 2 times, and on the 3rd try actually locked in. Well, I don't know. So I learned some new strats by watching speedruns. So I learned that you can hit the beast 2 times when it gets up from the dash attack, and then 1 pogo. And if you have Silk, you can even throw a spear to do even more damage. And on his jumping attack, I think I don't have to explain, it's his biggest opening. Lastly, when he comes up and throws his belts at you, you can hit him once or twice before you jump to dodge the belts. But besides that, we defeat him and then just acquire the Silk card. So, in the end, we have touched 3 grass. I'm sure with actual hitboxes that number will increase. But for now, this seems like a pretty good baseline. Also, if you watched this far, consider subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed. But before I peace out, I want to thank you guys for the amount of support and feedback on the speedrunning documentary video I did. I read through every comment, and I really appreciate anyone who took their time to actually write constructive criticism. As always, I'll be open to more feedback, so please, if you got any suggestions, put it down below. Also, I want to do a video with some Mimi speedruns in this game, and I will maybe stream it to you. I'm gonna put a post up for that here on YouTube for a later time, but now I want to thank you guys, and peace, and have a good evening everyone.